Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week 7 of the Risen Pre-Made Unstoppable. We're going to be covering our boys over at Omega Gaming Lunar as they go up against 010 Power Spike. If you cast your minds back to last week, you'll remember that Catalyst Carbon was the team that we played, and this time going up against 010 Power Spike, they've already beaten that team in much the same fashion that we did, so I'm curious to see which of these two teams come out on top. My name is Diatripa, I'm joined by Rudude, and Rudude, what are you thinking going in here?
I'm thinking that this should be a very interesting series here, very close series. I'm expecting because both of these teams coming into tonight are both 4-1, maybe 5-1, I believe. Actually, in week 7, they both had a skipped week, I believe, and they both had the exact same game score as well. So there's nothing to separate these two teams. There's everything up for grabs essentially. This is going to be a fight for nearing the top side of the table, and we'll have to see which team can take the jugular and take the series.
Yeah, this is going to be something that I think that this will probably be the most tense game that we've had so far because both of these teams are ranked so close to the top of the standings. And as we may have noticed, we've already popped into the spectator client. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as we have the pro draft up and Senna and Ash been taken away. These are two things that have been really popular, at least in playoffs, if anybody's been watching those. And I'm happy to see them picked up.
Yeah, and interestingly, they've been popular because of Caitlyn being banned away. We see that that is not the case in this game. So both of these teams actually just favouring Senna and Ash over the Caitlyn pick here. Maybe feeling that the 10-17 nerfs that touched her movement speed a little bit are going to be a little bit too much for her to maybe be first pick priority. But Senna coming through here for Lunar, Ash for 0-10. And they pick up a Lilia as well, something that we've seen be a flexible pick that can go into the top lane as well as that prioritised jungle. Having a very quick clear makes her a strong jungler, and the top lane sort of early dueling power that she has is incredibly strong as well.
Yeah, and Lilia is going to be one of those junglers that wants to pick up laners that have a lot of priority early on so that she can focus on farming and just getting ahead of her opponent in that way. So I like the Ashe pickup, but we'll have to see what it's followed up by because Evelyn wants the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Both of these junglers now looking to farm up to about level 6, farm to the point of no return where they are just incredibly strong. Evelyn, notably, probably the strongest assassin jungler that you can pick on this patch. Hold back from saying it's the strongest AP assassin, given that we've got a Carly running around in the meta right now. But either way, Evelyn, as you alluded to, wants winning lanes so that she can roam. And both of these sides here, I think that 0 and 10 have drafted themselves a little bit of a nicer composition to support that because they're going to have the Galio to jump on the Lilia in any case of invading or being invaded on in that sense.
Yeah, so certainly post 6, once even Evelyn becomes strong, you already have the option of Galio being collapsed, or Galio collapsing in order to assist his Lilia, so is going to be really useful in that sense because at the point where Evelyn starts spiking, 010 can start to cover their weaknesses. And right now, as much as they have a lot of insurance for themselves, I still have yet to see a really strong pick come out. Omega Gaming Lunar have the Evelyn that I feel like is a win condition in of itself, but 010 have yet to sort of pick one up. And now with things like Vladimir and Kassadin being banned away, I'm curious to see where that starts to come in.
Yeah, so am I. I think that we've got so far. This also potentially could be a flexible Galio pick here. Could see it on support, could see it going to the mid lane. So with Luna picking up their top laner as well, 0-10 have the option to get counter picking both of the solo lanes should they, choose to go for it because they've, because Luna have picked up the Shen early on, obviously a really highly priced top laner, and they've sort of banned away one of the matchups that they don't want to face up against, getting rid of that Camille. I like the Vladimir ban and I like the Kassadin ban as well, sort of suggesting that maybe they're going to go for something a little bit spicy, maybe something that's countered by those two champions. Obviously, they lock in the Ornn here, so we'll have to see what that mid lane pick or support pick is going to be because we still don't know where that Galio's going.
Yeah, and it's sort of an edge case flexibility, but I do like that it's at least on the table. Certainly, you don't want to be given a free lane over to things like Galio and Kassadin. Corki, another one of those big scalers, though, that they could look to take into Galio. And I am curious to see whether this is a bait or just waiting on counter pick support, because we could certainly see a Shen flex to the support role as well, Senna pairing relatively well with those melee supports, and there's still a level of flexibility on both of these squads that Omega Gaming Lunar is going to have to show us first.
Yeah, and I really like this from 010 holding the flex pick into the support because we know Rabble plays these off the wall supports and things that if they do end up locking in an early bot lane and they have the potential to pick up a support that counters that, we've seen him use Poppy to counter the Rakan multiple times, Gragas even a couple of games as well. So if he's going to try and pick something to counter their bot lane, he's not going to be able to do so, primarily just because they don't know what the bot lane is just yet. We do lock in the Bard, and and this is where we sort of see it now that this Rakan does get locked in. That this is essentially why they've held it to the last pick.
Yeah, and this is. I mean, I like the pickup from Scarred Rebel, especially Blind, because we have seen him play this Bard more than anything else, and is certainly a pick that can can move around the map and can find advantages, especially when you're looking to pair up with things like that Evelyn. Certainly, Bard is going to be really helpful. But on the other side of that, having the Rakan and the Galio, even including the Ornn, and you add in this Lilia for a little bit of damage, and I see the win conditions starting to emerge here for 010.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, they have a nice amount of consistent damage, being the Ashe and the Lilia as well. They've got nice setup, nice engage. If Galio tries to ulti the Rakan, they've got themselves a really good set of follow up in that route as well. So there's definitely plenty of opportunities for 010 to, make fights happen and for them to go advantageously. I also want to point out that, Lunar scale incredibly well this game. They've got themselves an assassin AP dealer with Senna and Corki as the lead damage sources for the consistent variety. They've got Bard to set up engages and Shen to sort of provide that beefy front line that they're going to need in the team fights.
Yeah, and Shen hopefully going to be enough because there's a lot of beef coming at them from the side of 010 as well. When you do start thinking about things like the Galio and like the Ornn, it's going to be. Maybe front to back is not exactly the thing that we're looking for, is what I want to say for Omega Gaming Lunar, because when you do look at the front line that you're going to be facing and just the amount of health that you'd have to burn through with something even like a Senna and a Corki around that mid game, 010 are going to have the advantage in terms of time, and Ashe no slouch when it comes to putting out damage. If Lilia's alive, we're going to need to find a different way in with OGN here into the backline.
Yeah, very, very right there that, if we think about the damage profile that Luna have drafted for themselves, that the majority of the physical damage really is coming from this Senna here. Rapid Fire going to have to try and step up huge and pump out damage as fast as he can because early on Senna not known for her damage capabilities, not known for the consistent hard DPS that she puts down. Evelyn and Corki, two very primarily magic damage focused champions. If Ornn just happens to get himself an abyssal mask, Lilia can probably go for the similar item herself as well. Galio obviously does really well specking into MR as well. All of these champions being able to build magic resistance so easily really makes it hard for Luna to play out these team fights as easily and with as much ease as they'd like.
Yeah, and importantly, that's a function of time as well, because we have Omega Gaming Lunar here with things like you mentioned, the Corki and the Senna, even the Evelyn, who's going to scale rather well. It is really up to 010 once we start hitting those mid games, because this is a team composition that, at least for me, spikes really well on those two items.
It really does. The Evelyn wants to reach probably Death Cap second is something that we've seen a lot from Evelyn's. Corki, Triforce, Manamune does incredibly well as we reach the mid game. These things, and if the Manamune gets upgraded as well, then by all means this Corki is online. But we have to see how the team sort of progress and how much we get out of OGL in the mid game.
Yeah, they have a lot of ability to, let's say, play the map wherever they want, because you have the ability for bards to roam, and Corki maybe not as much of a volatile laner, but certainly with Evelyn ganking things like a Shen is going to feel really good, and ganking Galio is not as hard as, say, something like an Azir that Corki could go into. So we have the option for them to play through any side of the map in the early, stages of this game to try and figure out what exactly there is the advantage they're trying to look to push when they do get into the mid, because I feel like all of their lanes, at least for now, are quite strong. 0-10, maybe not having exactly the same flexibility in this early game. If you're going to gank something, I feel like you're going to gank bot more often than not.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely the most susceptible lane here, and the possibility of a Rakan engage is definitely there, along with volleys and slows on her autos to follow up. But there's definitely a world where this bot lane is gankable. I also want to quickly sort of touch on the fact that this is a slightly different take from Lunar that we've seen, and particularly Eterno on the top side. We've seen this guy be a really hard carry for Lunar squads in the past, and seeing him pick up the Shen, something a little bit different, and doesn't give him the same level of agency to become the hard carry that we've seen him be. My mind goes back to a game where he played Kennen top lane and just ran into the enemy jungle, consistently killing the jungler over and over again, and on the Shen, you just don't have the same level of flexibility to do things like that. He's against himself and Ornn in the top lane, so yes, he has a slightly favourable matchup if he's able to use the Spirit's Refuge to, deny the brittle procs. So there's room for manoeuvrability in the Shen, but obviously doesn't have the same capabilities as a carry style champion.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I mean, I'm so used to seeing him on the gangplank, and I really hope that we get to see it at some point this series, because he absolutely is a monster when he can take over lanes. And we'll have to see if he does bring the same level of usefulness to his team when he's not on something that can necessarily sit in the side lane and scale up, but rather when he has to involve himself and find the utility in the team fights. Whether that's something they've practiced in the past week, perhaps, as they do try and develop to overtake the teams that are going to be emerging as the strongest. This game being a really big part of that. That being said, though, we're all set up for this game. We know what these comps want to accomplish, and it's all up to these teams in these early levels to figure out what is actually going to happen. We're going to jump right into spectator delay in just a moment, so we'll be back with your game, and I look forward to seeing Omega Gaming Luna versus 10 Death Power Spike.
1.
Hello and welcome back as we're setting up for Omega Gaming Lunar versus 010. 010 going to be approaching us from the top side of the map, and I really like this tanky composition they've drafted themselves, looking to go pretty even and pop off in the mid-game bot side. I feel like onus on OGN to maybe get a little bit of a lead and start showing us what this Evelyn can be made of. How you feeling, Rudude, as we pop in here?
Feeling very good about this game here, Diatripa. We've got two very strong lineups being picked up here. We've got a strong late game team composition from Lunar, mixed in with a nice beefy frontlining team composition from 010 East, 010 Power Spike here. Definitely lots of capabilities, lots of possibilities, more importantly, in this game as to how we see this play out. I like this from Gosha in the mid lane, recognizing he's in a Galio lane, that he can just take the cull, farm up and become that mid-game power spike demon even more than he already would become, and become there even faster with the cull start.
Yeah, and importantly, having taken the cleanse for himself as well, we'll have a lot of safety from any scary ganks that might happen. Agony certainly able to bring a lot of damage, and interestingly on Agony as well, has taken the phase rush on the Lilia, something that I feel like we see every once in a while, because what is best on Lilia still very much being sorted out. We've decided that she's strong, certainly, but as to with what keystone, it's still up in the air.
Yeah, and it sort of feels to me like phase rush maybe is a little bit of an overkill on the movement speed, but obviously these things, you can never really have too much of. So, phase rush definitely something that we've seen used quite a lot. I might be partial to a Conqueror or maybe even a Spellbook used from the Lilia. Something to give her a little bit of early on. Or some more skirmish heavy potential here as we scale up later into the stages of the game. The Conqueror does come out and does actually do a little bit of healing that is quite useful to the Lilia. Equally, Spellbook is Spellbook at the end of the day. But we are just going to see her sort of farming up her camps as she goes, looking like she's probably going to do a full clear here. Typically when junglers go for the for the Krugs, they're opting into the full clear, and with both OGN and Agony doing this, don't expect to see too much action on the map too early on.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, with both of them doing this, I feel like they're also opting into the idea that neither of them is going to invade the other, which I think is a little bit of a handshake from the junglers, because both of them do want to be able to farm up. Agony obviously benefiting from being able to farm extremely quickly, and OGN really wanting to hit the 6 mark, and I can't help but feel that this is maybe a little bit of a lack of a game plan from both of these teams, now that they've seen, hey, we both have strong lanes, we both have pushing lanes, and it's up to micro. Let's sit back and see how these lanes start to play out, see who actually is stronger, before we start to actually play towards that.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be interesting, isn't it? Because that really does just leave it down to, at the end of the day, which team has the better players, who's pressing the keys in a better order and moving around the map better. Because when you opt into this style, there is no room for error. Your errors and missteps need to be punished by the opposition in order to generate advantages, because without the same level of map play, it's just not going to happen. And interestingly enough, it's actually OGN who gets the 6 camp clear down faster and on the crab before the Lilia here. Just a little bit of a interesting note. Lilia known for her fast clear, but Evelyn appearing to be a little bit faster here. OGN working his way through the jungle and really showing some proficiency on this Eve early on.
Yeah, still doing quite well, and being able to pick up that scuttle crab actually pretty big. And the reason that I say that is it's going to be maybe a little bit bigger than we're used to, is because if we look at the rest of the CS numbers, it is going to be 010 coming slightly ahead in almost every lane. With the Galio even being up CS on the Corgi, you can't help but feel that the jungle is going to be even more important as we start looking for these impacts when they start ganking, because the lanes aren't necessarily going to be there for Omega Gaming Lunar on their own.
Yeah, and it's important to notice here that both of these junglers actually opting for not the jungle item on the first recall in Galio bot lane.
Yeah, there's a nice engage from Strawberry Paladin. Now the Shielded Durand will grab Scarred Rabble there, and it's going to be first blood going over to OP Killswitch on a nice roam timing. Had shoved in his wave in mid lane and walks away with something really nice for himself. A little 400 gold in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the vision in the bot side of the map here for 010. They've got 2 wards on the Evelyn. Going to see her going A from her golems and B back to her raptors here. They know that this Drake is free and they know they can invade here.
Yeah, they're just walking into OGN's jungle. Shielded Rend again. Flash from OP Killswitch almost gets that kill and forces. More importantly, the flash out of OGN. Now considering going back to save Scarred Rabble, fortunately, will be able to get himself out right there with a magical journey. But very nice play around the bottom side. You mentioned the vision for 010, and it's paying off in spades.
It really is, and it's all off of the outlaning from OP Killswitch, really, that he was able to generate himself a mid lane advantage, able to generate a push that he could roam off of, didn't lose too much off of the push, and in fact gained 400 gold for his troubles, and then also burned the flash on the Evelyn as well. Just, you know, we talked about the fact that when you're opting for these low impact early games, that your early games have to be good, but Eterno might die here.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Spirit's Refuge anymore and will just go down to Router, as the ability to not block that brittle, certainly not feeling too great for him. OGN also hasn't hit the level 6 yet, so not feeling comfortable to involve himself around that top side as the play was starting to be set up, and Omega Gaming Lunar being put on the back foot here. And importantly, Rudude, I do want to point out it was a Wind Drake. We're not going to be getting Wind Soul this game.
So we get ourselves one of the spicy souls, and with the mountain on the map now, we are going to get Infernal or the Ocean, which are 2 very highly prized souls here. Going to definitely gateway a team into an early game win condition if they're able to pick up that soul, and if Lunar are still going to bleed out advantages and leak these early game neutral objectives to 010. They can find themselves on a soul incredibly quickly and maybe have just a win condition for themselves around that 25-minute mark.
Yeah, especially given the fact that we're going to be getting something like a Mountain Dragon second. It's going to benefit the side of 010 so much more if they can get their hands on it. Something like having the ability to force these plays more often with the Cloud Dragon as well as the Mountain Drake potentially into an Ocean. We've got to start thinking about how we can come online faster as Omega Gaming Lunar, because if you do start losing these dragons, it's not like another soul where you'll be able to sort of stall out the game. At this point, nothing's going to happen. You're just going to be sad.
Yeah, definitely.
Router, though.
Oh.
They want Eterno here. Force the flash out just with the investment of the Galio ultimate. And again, we don't see him losing too much in this mid lane. Might be able to shove in and maybe lose a minion or 2 there, but Evelyn's in the river here and actually will find Agony. Has already hit the level 6 mark and pulls herself straight to Agony, but misses the last caress. Eterno will pick that one up for his jungler there. Still 3 people participating in that kill, so not a bad usage of the gold, but you'd like to see that one going over to Evelyn.
Yeah, you want to see the cleaner execution there from the Evelyn. You want to see those ultimates hit, because if that starts happening in the later game, those kills that you might not necessarily pick up are going to be really impactful, going to be definitely important, and we need to see the execution tightened up just a little bit here. Good to see that they get themselves a kill back, though.
Yeah, and actually in the bot lane we see, because they know that OGN was top, the already winning lane of Ash Rakan is just going to be able to walk into the Tribush, clear out that ward, and continue putting down pressure.
Exactly, and I really want to keep a track on Killswitch here, because he appears to be, you know, the carry, roaming around, making things happen for the team. He's sort of where plays happen is where Killswitch is. He's doing a really good job at pushing waves, finding opportunities to not just make plays, but also get vision down into OGN's jungle. Twice now I've seen him walk down, ward the Raptor camp, so that if they can spot out Evelyn before she goes back into stealth, they know where she is going to be on the map. Obviously the ward on the top or on the bot side alludes to the fact that she's not anywhere near the Raptors, so you can play with that in mind just a little bit here. Doesn't offer too much information, but some information is better than no information.
Absolutely, and speaking of that, just because we've pointed out the wards twice now, I want to say that this is really, really nice play from 010, not just in the sense that they've managed to secure themselves that vision, but in the sense that when we saw them go up against Catalyst Carbon 2 weeks ago, this vision wasn't there. Their forward play when they did have an advantage meant that they weren't really getting any offensive vision down. It was still very spotty, very the odd ward here and there. But I think that either playing against Evelyn or just having the 2 weeks to sort of train up and recognize that has meant that their control when they do feel like they have an advantage in one side of the map has been so much better. And I'm really happy to see that from a team in this league.
Yeah, so my adaptation and improvement really more so than anything is something that we as casters love to see, love to be able to comment on and show the impact of. And if this is able to come full circle in this game, we'd love that. That being something that nets them an advantage, nets them maybe even the win in game number 1 here. It makes us very happy to be able to predict on, to use and draw the story for you guys, paint the picture at home to show that this is a strength and this is what the teams are doing here.
Yes, and speaking of that story, we're seeing the Mountain Drake up, and this is going to be not a climax, but let's call this rising action perhaps for Omega Gaming Lunar, because them missing out on this Drake, or whether they choose to contest it, is actually going to be really, really big as we start to approach that soul mark. We're also going to get to find out what that soul could be as we see 010 positioning around this.
Yeah, we do. Oh, arrow goes wide. The package is still available for Gosha. And this is sort of the bit in the drum and bass song where the beat starts building up, ramping up, and we're waiting for the beat to drop here. We're waiting for that team fight to happen. Dragon has spawned, and neither of the teams committing to starting it. We've got a 4v4 on the bot side. Etherno has Stand United, and here comes the engage.
The question from Strawberry Paladin is actually going to find OG and didn't know where he was, but now he's caught up in the middle of a Galio ultimate, has to use his own to get out of there. Senna ults absolutely nothing, but there's a beautiful taunt from Etherno there. Does end up finding 1 kill in return. Ashton could be in trouble, but OGN gonna have to flash away. Scarred Rabble now on the retreat as well, and Ashton has nothing to fear as he walks straight forward, is gonna find the volley to pick up Scarred Rabble, and Etherno is soon to follow. It is going to be just the 2 kills, no, sorry, just the single kill onto 010, and they walk away with the Drake in their pocket as well.
Yeah, so 010 lose 1, get themselves 2, and the Dragon in return. Overall, a very nice team fight for them, as you mentioned, managing to pick out Rapid Fire in the mix, get him down. He burns Flash and Heal, still falls, uses the ultimate as well to pretty much no effectiveness, unfortunately. And that's just a really nice team fight playing out for 010 and going heavily in their favor.
Yeah, and credit to Strawberry Paladin as well, being able to find a really nice engage onto Scarred Rabble, and just happening to pick up OGN with him means that OGN has to burn a lot of his cooldowns defensively and has no real way of getting on top of Ashton because he's so busy getting away from OP kill switch.
Yeah, it really is. You want to get away from the Galio who's charging at you with Taunt Up, Justice Punch available to him, and such a dangerous threat here. 202. Yes, he's down a level on Gosha, but he has the completed Proto belt at this point. He's feeling incredibly strong. It's definitely a force to be reckoned with here on the Galio. Probably at his about his strongest point, because AP Galio for sure doesn't do all that much as we get later into the game. Definitely does fall off a little bit, just due to the fact that he can get kited out incredibly easily by the majority of these carries. But while he's in this power spike, so to say, he's definitely feeling himself.
Yeah, and actually I wanted to, very quickly, there's a small fight here. Shouldn't result in too much, though, as Etherno walking perhaps a little bit too far forward. Doesn't want to overextend there, but OGN, looking for a pick himself, has picked up the Magi Soul Stealer. Charm could land onto Ashton. He has no flash, and he should just go down here. Can Strawberry Paladin follow him, though? Does use the quickness to get out of there, and maybe can was the wrong word, but he does get out with his life. Yeah,
and the quickness used a little bit late there. There may have been a world where he can save Ashton's life if he just uses the quickness as soon as he comes out of the Zhonya's, but this could just be a repeat and a dive onto the Rakan.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of options to get out of there. Doesn't end up finding the charm onto him, though, so we'll just be turret plates going over to Rapid Fire. And I very quickly want to bring up this beautiful point that you made just yesterday about now we've hit 6 stacks on the Megis.
Yes, so 6 stacks Megis is when Megis becomes cost effective or cost neutral, really, so to speak. 6 stacks on the Megis gives you X amount of ability power, which scales equally with a needlessly large rod, and that's what we're basing off as we see an ultimate top lane.
Yeah, could be Etherno caught out a little bit here. Does have the flash available, and taunt should be up for him as well. Should be able to get out of this one, but there's so many people in this top line. Is Agony perhaps looking to dive here? Router just walks straight out, though they don't want to over chase out of this, and OGN jumping, potentially uses the blast cone there to bring the Shen straight back in, and Maybe a little bit of a misstep there as Swirl Seed will find him right over the wall. Agony ends up picking one up onto OGN, absolutely decimating those Magi stacks and bringing himself to 7 on the Dark Seal.
Yeah, and 6 goes to 0 real quick when you die with that Magi's. I'm not sure quite what they were thinking trying to take that Blast Cone into a 2v3 situation. That was just not the play, and that was never going to result in anything positive for them. They lose 2 kills, and Lunar lose the top lane tier 1 turret as well. Just calamity of errors for Lunar there on the top side.
It really isn't. This is something that is, I guess, showcasing the strength here of 010 Power Spike's play, because they, as much as Agony is still relatively low when OGN goes in, he is going into 2 tanks who lack for nothing if it is not HP or CC. They have a bunch of both of those. And Agony, that's all he needs to survive those extra few seconds. Eterno coming in on very, very low health, really has no options. Now has built himself up the Titanic Hydra as well, so won't really be super tanky even in these mid-game team fights.
Yeah, not going to be building not going to have a completed item for a long time here, even though he has the Titanic Hydra, going to be able to farm up a little bit more effectively than previously. It's still going to take him a while before he's at that point where he's able to sustain himself versus these, triple carry comp from 010 here. Lilia, Galio, Ashe, all incredibly strong in terms of damage.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit concerned for 010 because I don't think that they'll be actually hitting their power spike anytime soon, given their name. They're looking really, really comfortable now. Only 3 deaths on any of their members, and certainly none of those have put them at a disadvantage in lane. I still feel like they're all very ahead, as Shield Durand will also find Eterno in this mid lane, just trying to clear out what he can, and they've actually chosen to put Gosha in the side lane here.
Yeah, and I think that just gives him a little bit more agency in the side lane to farm a longer lane. Keeps him a little bit safer. I'm not too sure what they were thinking with it in particular. It's not necessarily a bad play, but also equally isn't the opportune moment. The important thing is that he recalls and gets the package before the Drake is spawned. Wasn't there to be able to set up the vision and set up the play in particular, but is there for the respawn. So better late than never.
Ooh, and we actually get the charm onto OP kill switch, but no damage seemingly to come down off of that. Gosha has the package here. Could look to split the team, but we got a little bit of a lilting lullaby here as Agony walks maybe too far forward. Nice taunt from Strawberry Paladin, though, will find 2, and now it is just OGL on the backside here as OGN and Gosha, the last ones left alive, and no package usage available there. Eterno actually still looking for a way into this fight himself. Might be able to look for a taunt onto Ashton, but will be taunted up himself, and now is just under that half HP mark. Still, OGN, though, picking up Strawberry Paladin. They could look for something else, but they're gonna have to walk through Router.
Yeah, they have to. Well, they picked themselves up 1 kill on the backside. That is Lunar, but they already lost 2 on the backs on the front end of the trade, and lose Shen on top of that. Means they are going to lose. Oh,
woo! Okay.
This kill switch might die to this as well.
He actually might, but fortunately will just have the Justice Punch to get himself out of there. But too caught up by the Tempered Fate. I'm not sure if we can capitalize on this. Gosha trying to herd Router and Ashton in, but won't be able to push them straight into OGN just yet. They could look for the charm here, but nice slow up there as now we have a Shen coming in. We're trying to make something happen here on OGL. Ashton going quite low. Will be shut down by Gosha, and that's going to feel maybe not the best, but is going to be a return kill for them at least.
Yeah, so they secure themselves 2 kills on the backside of that. The Dawning Shadow coming in for 1, and then the Flash Stand United coming in for the second. It's good. It's not the best it could be, but it's definitely gold in the pockets of Lunar. And if they're able to exchange another exchange this with a mid-tier 1, it's going to give them even more gold back in this game, and maybe get them into a position where when this Infernal Dragon, this Soul comes around for 010, they're able to fight it much more effectively than they have been previously.
Yeah, and importantly, that kill does go on to Gosha, and in the meantime, OGN been able to pick himself up 4 stacks for the Mejais as well. So the closer that we can get to getting, I feel like these 2 specifically, closer to their next items, the better it's going to be, because Gosha is that champion that is going to be able to scale up really, really nicely. I think probably the best on the side of OGL, and as we've seen in previous games, can really be the linchpin of this team.
Yeah, Corki, I think also, scales more notably with his item spikes. They're very much evident when he reaches them. Something I want to, quickly address is that this Black Cleaver pickup from Rapid Fire really doesn't do it for me. Black Cleaver is good in certain situations. I think when you are the only or when you're pretty much the only physical damage source, that Black Cleaver is never really essential. Cost effectiveness wise, that lethality works just as well if you are the only damage source. So maybe would have liked to see that come through. The armor shred only really going to affect him and his damage, and to a little bit Eterno, but I don't feel like Eterno is a primary source that they want to be worried about. I think just the selfish items, particularly for Rapid Fire this time, would have been a bit better. And it's very rare that I'll say that about, I'm all for, pick up the Executioners, pick up Black Cleaver if it's going to help out your team, but in this situation, I just don't think it will.
Yeah, neither of those are going to be particularly impactful, as now they're looking for that very same Rapid Fire. Will just be caught up by Strawberry Paladin. Nice Temper Fate will buy them time, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough, as he will be picked up by Router there in the end, sitting at 3-0 and 5. Very tanky boy, and Scarred Rabble also potentially going down here. Lilting Lullaby will connect, and Agony should be able to grab that one up for himself with the bouncing blows. Bowing. I'm missing it up. What is it? It's blooming blows.
Hey, we'll get there with Lillian names eventually. They are ridiculously named. But hey, it's something that we have to deal with. We've got Watch Out Eep, one of the most awkwardly named abilities that I've ever seen. But equally, 0-10 here, get themselves 2 kills, get themselves the turret in the mid lane, and now they're right back in control of this game. They've only got a 1,000 gold lead, but with those kills, with the mid-tier 1 picked up, they now have free access into the jungle of Omega Gaming Lunar. They're going to be able to set up really nicely for this Ocean Soul, Infernal Soul rather, which is spawning in just over a minute here. They're going to want to get themselves in the spot to have all of the vision down. They want to know exactly where all of the members are and just be able to take an essentially one team fight before it's begun, just off of the information they can garner.
Yeah, that would be ideal for them, and it feels like they are going to have at least the initial advantage here already. Now that you've hit the 2 item power spike on the Lilia, she's grabbed herself the Leandries there, and Ornn has hit the level 13 and will be able to start upgrading items on his subsequent levels. We'll be able to upgrade things like the Blade of the Ruined King for the Ashe. Well, at the same time, you're sitting on your 2 items as Corki, and you're still really waiting for that Infinity Edge, it feels. And we see OGN being able to build up that Rabadons, might not be able to hit the gold within this next minute 40, or actually just 40 seconds now, as I've taken way too long to talk, and it's iffy as to whether we get this dragon.
He just took a reset as well. We toggled the gold here. He's only got 300 in his inventory, so he reset to, purchase that second large rod, and Lunar here really are at full power for this fight that's about to erupt here. If they're going to win a team fight, this is probably, the situation where they're going to be best to do so, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. The execution is going to have to be flawless here. Package has been picked up by Gosha. He's going to be walking himself back out to the base to help the team, help out at this dragon. Eterno, Stand United available on the top side, but all of the setup, all of the vision is going in favour of 0-10 here.
Yeah, these control wards really not doing OGN any favors, and they've just started up the Drake. Tempered Fate, once again, will find them a lot of time, and a nice Cosmic Binding will stun up 2 members. Rapid Fire gets to use his ult across all 5, and OGN managing to survive for just a little while will be picked up by OP Kill Switch, and now is putting Rapid Fire on the back foot as Eterno dies without being able to do anything. And importantly, Rapid Fire managing to pick up that Drake. No matter how much they lose there, it is just those 3. But they managed to grab themselves the Drake and delay for a little bit longer. So important for Omega Game.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like 0-10 here. They're trying to turn onto the Baron with this. The important thing to note is they don't have Smite, and with Rapid Fire and Gosha still available, they could be able to turn this one around. The re-engage from 0-10 here has to be on point. They don't have Grand Entrance, don't have a Hero's Entrance, none of the primary engages available, so it's going to be very telegraphed if they try to go in. And you can see that they don't have the damage to go for it. Teleport from Eterno could be a bit of a bait here.
Yeah, this actually could just be his death, as won't actually
Still
be
has taunt.
taunted up here, and they could look to turn this. Rapid Fire and Gosha have the ability to poke out, and OGN is up, which is really the concern that I had when they were going towards that Baron. You don't want to be caught out in the middle there with all of the AoE damage that Evelyn can do.
No, you really don't. And even though they go away from the Baron, that essentially just becomes a null trade for me. You know, you get yourselves the Infernal Drake, but you do lose net 2 kills on the side, and I think that that's a trade that OGL are going to take, because you never want to give over the Infernal Soul, and the issue that with them being against Soul Point is that they are pressured into taking that fight every single time now. So in 3.5 minutes time, and 5 minutes from them, and 5 minutes from then, they're going to be having to take this fight, and it opens up the opportunity for when 0-10 are in a bit of a better position to just trade out onto the Baron. So creates a real conundrum, puts an ultimatum in the Lunar players' mind, where they have to say, well, if we are set up for this Infernal Dragon and 0-10 aren't here, then they're very likely going to be on that Baron, and they're going to be happy to sacrifice one Infernal Dragon to get one of those powerful late game ending buffs. It's something that they're going to need to be cognizant of and really have to be wary of where they're placing vision.
Ooh, yeah, Rapid Fire getting hit by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow there. Now getting hit by the Lilting Lullaby. This is certainly going to be enough to get on top of him. Ends up burning the ultimate just to try and survive. Now the Shen ult coming in on top of him. They've already picked up Scar and Rabble. Can they pick him up? Doesn't have the flash to get out of the knockup from the Galio, and they've found themselves a fight. Maybe not around the dragon, but it is certainly going to be there as they pick up almost all 5 members. Strawberry Paladin going to be traded back there by Gosha, who's the only surviving member. He is the backbone of this team right now, sitting at that 4-0-4. He is the one that needs to be alive, and fortunately has managed to do it.
Yeah, Gosha's doing incredible amounts of work in these team fights, really carrying Omega Gaming Lunar through at this point. Rapid Fire getting caught out by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, by the Lilting Lullaby. Really didn't do all that much in the team fight. Managed to survive for quite a while with the usage of the Tempered Fate from Scarred Rabble to, you know, keep the dive away from him for a little bit longer. But Rabble just gets blown up because he's too close to the front line, trying to predict a stun out. And Gosha really having to step up huge. Manages to do so, gets 3 kills for the team on the backside. OGN as well managed to get in and managed to get off his full combo. The positioning from OGN this game hasn't been too hot. He's been getting caught out by taunts, getting caught out by, you know, any other thing that's going to be trying to, you know, keep him locked up. And I've just sort of seen him keep running in through the front line. You know, you're playing the Evelyn, you want to try and find these flank angles, try and find something else to get into the backline and really just get rid of Ashton. Eliminate him immediately without the allowance of Galio, especially when they're using the hero's entrance offensively to try and get into, on top of the Lilia, for example, and the Rakan in that situation. If you have no Galio ulti, this Ashe is extremely vulnerable, and I'd like to see this Evelyn really punish that more.
Yeah, she really can look for those angles, and I think it's more of a patience game, because at this point, when we see 0-10 setting up for these team fights, so much of their vision is still being cleared out by people like Rabble, and there's not a lot around the backside. So if you can manage to stall out a fight long enough for OGN to depart from his team and find that flank angle, it really can result in a victory, but it's certainly a risk, it feels like, for OGN to be like, okay, I'm not going to be near you guys for a second, just don't die, don't get engaged on, especially when you're looking down the barrel of something like an Ornhorn, and even Kill Switch and Strawberry Paladin being able to combo themselves. It's not necessarily something that he maybe feels comfortable doing as much as it is an avenue in for them.
No, exactly, and now we're setting up here 20 seconds on this Infernal Dragon. Once again, another soul point that Lunar have to deny. Eterno walking down, so not relying on the Stand United this time, wants to be part of the fight from the forefront. Rapid Fire as well, a little bit distant here as the Drake spawning in about 5 seconds, but OGN here, you know, we see him, he's with his team, not in a position to find a flank. You know, walk around on the bot side, try and walk somewhere else, get into the backlines here, because something needs to be done to find this Ashe, and if they're unable to do so, then Evelyn's just not going to find the same successes that we want to see.
I want to bring up that Gosha's got the Infinity Edge as well. As we are looking around the poke, he has really hit an item spike of extreme relevance here, as we're going to get a submarine play from OGN trying to get into the middle of everybody, but is going to be stunned up by Strawberry here. Now doesn't escape with his life. Inferno trying to flash away from his, but Gosha, like we talked about, has the Infinity Edge, will pick up the double kill for himself, and the Drake is all theirs as they manage to deny another soul from 0-10.
Yeah, and not just that, this time they managed to take the team fight as well. Yes, OGN falls, but the team fight goes in the favor of Lunar. 3 for 1 this time around, and we've seen it time and time again here. These team fights giving increasingly and increasingly higher chance for Lunar to win them. Last time, they went 1 for 3, but got the dragon. This time, they go 3 for 1, and get the dragon as well. So everything really sort of turning towards Luna. They're able to get themselves an objective as well off of it. The tier 2 mid lane going to fall. Maybe even going to look for the tier 2 top with the big minion wave there, but you know, respawn's coming through, maybe not trying to chance their arm too much. Importantly, they can't turn onto the Baron because OGN does fall, but they get themselves a nice advantage here. They deny Soul once again, and now have themselves a gold lead.
Yeah, and it was a nice thought there from Omega Gaming Lunar as they did engage that, trying to get the submarine play in with OGN here, but it was just smelled out by Strawberry Paladin and taken down. Honestly, if you're looking for that to be your way into the fight, you lose that every time. But the thing is, you now have Gosha, who has package, and you have Scarred Rabble, who's able to buy so much time. We've seen him use this tempered fate to really great effect, and just being able to buy time for the Corki, buy space, while Rapid Fire is able to hit from quite a long range as well, means that so much time is sunk into this Evelyn. Even though it doesn't work out, it buys enough for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10 as well, he's been able to get the last caress off as well, which is buying even more space for the
Mhm.
rest of Luna. While they are investing so much time into this Evelyn, that he's just going to be, the OGN is just able to keep himself alive just that little bit longer and a little bit longer. Gosha, as we've seen, is just terrorizing the team fights during.
Yeah, this is something that I'm certainly keeping my eye on. But the other thing that we want to bring up very quickly is that Ornn items still are definitely a thing that are coming in. We have OP kill switch giving or getting the Luden's Echo upgrade there, which is going to feel all right for him. Luden's Echo certainly not something that we think about as the best ornament to receive, but is still going to be a boost in power. And we talked about the AP Galio getting kited out a little bit. If he's not able to land these ultimates, I'm dubious as to what the Luden's Echo is going to be able to do for them.
Yeah, I really do agree with that, and I want to, also touch on the rest of Ornn's build just in general here. Oh, but there could be an engage.
Yeah, Scarred Rabble is going to get at least charmed up, but OP Killswitch follows him into the Baron, and now will be tanking that objective as well. It's going to flash away. OGN should be able to grab himself a kill here. Last Caress not going to find anything, though, as the Tempered Fate sets up beautifully for Rapid Fire. Now it is just going to be Strawberry Paladin potentially going down next as 4 members are chasing him down, and it feels like there's no turnaround there. OP Killswitch extending just a little bit. We talked about how key those ultimates in the combo with Strawberry Paladin are for the team fights, and now without that, it feels like we're just going to get a Baron going down.
It's just an absolutely huge Tempered Fate from Scarred Rabble, setting up 4 members for a Dawning Shadow, for Gosha to line up all of his AoE. It was just pristine. Absolutely elite tier Tempered Fate there. Caught all 4 members that were in the fight from 0-10. Caught 0 of his own team, so everybody was in position, everybody was ready, and when you just get one of those perfect Tempered Fates, it sets up for advantages like this. They get themselves 3 kills, they get themselves the Baron, and now they're going to be looking to maybe break the base, generate more advantages for themselves.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff from him as Rapid Fire, being able to set up that ultimate from him, super, super beautiful there. Did manage to pick up the kill, as well as getting everybody really low, and they were just able to chase down, and now they have the Baron for themselves. Like we mentioned, they have a significant advantage where before it felt like they were struggling to get back into this game. Now it feels like 0-10 are the ones that are struggling to stay relevant.
Yeah, and this is the point in the game where we feel like OP Killswitch on this Galio really does become more of a utility bot as opposed to a real damage source or damage threat. Yes, if he's able to get into the backline, obviously can do the damages, but it's getting the Galio there, which is why he falls off. It becomes increasingly more difficult to get yourself in a positive position. And we're looking across the board here. Gosha, level 17, has Trinity Force, so those Phage procs keep himself at an arm's length of OP Killswitch. He's also got now the completed Rapid Fire Cannon for a little bit of extra range. All of these things coming through are going to make Galio increasingly more weak as we scale into this late game. Importantly as well, Ashton's still waiting for the Infinity Edge to come through. Likely is going to be able to pick it up pretty soon here because she's been sat on the BF pickaxe for a while, and she will receive the Molten Edge from Router, who I believe is waiting on it here. And, this is important that Lunar here get themselves the Infernal Dragon here, putting themselves now onto Soul Point as well. So now the next dragon that spawns in about 5 minutes time is going to be incredibly important. A 7 Drake game before Elders spawn, very rare to see, but something that, really forces a late game situation to force a fight.
Yeah, and there's not even a contest there from O10. They know solidly that okay, Lilting Lullaby is going to be used as
Oh
it
no.
looks like we're just setting up for a team fight here, which is a little bit confusing. Strawberry Paladin runs really, really far forward, leaving his team totally in the dust. OGN is caught up, but Shen is there to save him, and it feels like 010 maybe a little bit desperate there. Do give up 2 kills.
Yeah, a little bit aggressive on pulling the trigger there. I'm not too sure that was entirely what they wanted, and I thought that the ultimate from Rabble was actually going to be a little bit trolled there. It forces his own ADC's flash out, but the follow-up from 010 wasn't available, so at the end of the day they were able to win the team fight if you are looking at Lunar, and this is going to be something that could cost them the game. Baron buff enabled on Omega Gaming Lunar.
Oh
Ashton
my god.
almost getting one shot, and we're gonna see a pause. Looks like some little internet issues for Rapid Fire, I believe, but all being well here, we should be good to get back going pretty quickly, and here we see the resume, but this still could be an end for Lunar.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. I really don't see the way in if Ashton can't even approach the team fight properly here. Is sitting at below half health still. Agony gets a really, really nice swirl seed across 5 members, but unfortunately doesn't have the ultimate that would have been absolutely the nastiest lullaby we've ever seen. Although it will just be, in the end, OGL being able to get themselves out. They have broken the base, and honestly, with a scaling team composition, after you break the base, you can do this. You can walk comfortably out, secure yourselves maybe the soul in 3 minutes, and even the Baron that's going to be coming up in 2.
Yeah, exactly. They're now able to reset, use the mid lane inhibitor as pressure. That's going to be down for 5+ minutes, which is overlapping the time in which these 2 neutral objectives spawn. And whilst it is just an Infernal Dragon, it is Infernal Soul here. So both objectives definitely going to be important, and we'll have to see that. Hopefully, the timing that Lunar have is going to be impeccable. I want to see them set up for the Baron and hopefully be in a position to just take it off spawn, or at the very worst force a fight out of it, and then they'll be able to transition that into an Infernal Soul, or just win the game if the fight is convincing enough.
Yeah, it's really, they could look for more advantages. They could dot their I's and cross their T's, but at this point, we don't really think that it's necessary. Molten Edge is going to be picked up for Ashton, and of course is going to boost his damage somewhat. But I actually wanted to touch very quickly on the fact that, like you mentioned, it is the Infernal Soul, which feels really, really good specifically for Omega Gaming Lunar. Not nearly as nice if you are 010, who would have been looking for something more like that Ocean. But just the amount of damage that it's going to amplify, since you did have your Shen go something like Titanic Hydra first even, is going to be really across 4 members that damage is going to be irrelevantly increased.
Yeah, and it's something little, but things like Rabble collecting the meeps does scale exponentially into the late game, so it kind of unlimited damage that he can put out. Yes, he's not building any AP, but if he's been on top of his Chime collection and has been able to, he's got himself a nice little army there of meeps rolling around after him, his Infernal Soul damage is going to be quite potent, and he might even be able to pick up some nice damage spikes himself.
That would be really nice to see. I do like to see a nice Bard being able to lay down the hurt onto the opposition once the game does go late enough. And actually, speaking of, as a function of time almost, we've found Omega Gaming Lunar not surprisingly at a gold lead. They've clawed their way back. They've been able to survive without their base being broken, and now they're really reaping the rewards of being able to survive for so long. Gold was even for quite a while, and now they finally pulled ahead, finding themselves maybe not a relevant gold advantage because we're so late, but symbolically is going to mean a lot in terms of their tempo in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And we're now at the point where Baron is now spawning, and look at Lunar here on the map. 4 members around it. Eterno down on the bot side, ready with Stand United. This Baron is just going to get melted. 010 are nowhere near. They've got absolutely 0 chance to contest this. And this is the timing I was hoping to see from them. They've now got the time to maybe take a reset and set themselves up for the Infernal Dragon spawning in about 30 seconds.
Doesn't look like 010 want to give them that option, though. They want to walk straight to the dragon and try and burn that one down before Omega Gaming Lunar can arrive. This would be sole point for them, and it feels like at this point it is them who needs to deny it more than the other way around. But still, will be looking for it. Agony is going to be a little bit tankier this time around, so maybe being able to lay down some dots, maybe get some lilting lullabies, is going to be their win condition. But they're moving in towards this mid lane to prevent these super minions from taking their base, and it feels like they've now forfeited position on the dragon.
Yeah, they really have. Hoping to see a lot of vision cleared out. OGN gets himself to safety using the blast cone here. I expect to see a fight erupt pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's Router. He wants to see the fight erupt as well, but a beautiful Tempered Fate will stall out 3. It means the OP kill switch is overextended. OGN cleans up Ashton, and he really has no chance to play League of Legends. Eterno now tanking up so much damage from Agony, and it is Gosha rocketing into the backline. Will pick himself up the triple kill as it is an ace. They don't even need the Infernal Drake. OGN, I suppose, wants it, but the rest of his team, they want to end the game. They want to go to game 2.
Yeah, and OGN there with the huge pick, finally using the Evelyn power to his advantages. Picks up Ashton before he's even got a chance to say anything about it. Gets himself the kill on the AD carry, and the fight from there really is just won. Is the inhib going to respawn? It is. Rapid Fire has to spend his little bit of time to get himself get the inhib before they can close it out.
Yeah, this is a game over even before the Nexus could explode. They did have to pick up, like we said, that inhibitor, but it felt like even though they found themselves a really nice lead, 0-10, not able to find enough of an advantage to close out that game. We talked about how their vision had improved so much, but Omega Gaming Lunar, their turtle was really a sight to behold as they managed to hold out for those item timings and then take over, not allowing even the enemy team to touch Soul Point.
No, exactly. The consistent stealing of souls was really important. The first dragon that Luna got was a steal from, I believe, from OGN. So he got one of the souls, forfeited his life, and 2 others of his team. But again, they denied the soul, and then the time after that, they OGN dies, but Luna get 3 kills, and then from there, it just becomes so Luna favored that they don't have to concede any life for pretty much the rest of the game, and they're able to pick up neutral objective after neutral objective with this outscaled composition here. Corki in the late game does so much more than a Galio. Rapid Fire as well was able to pump out nice little chunks of damage here and there. And if we just look at the damage charts here, you can see it's really just the Gosha show in the mid lane.
Yeah, it felt like he was super, like, amazingly the carry for this team. Really stepped up hard around those souls, like we mentioned, and ends the game at 10-0 and 9, completely untouched. And it felt like, as much as they were pulling the trigger on people like OGN, who they perceived as being the threats here, it was it was Gosha sitting there going, I'm gonna get you. And they had no cooldowns left to deal with him, and really no way to get so far back onto a Corki who has so much safety available to him. I'd be surprised if we don't see something like that taken away, or at least a draft that focuses specifically on being able to get to a backline that we know that is now very strong for Omega Gaming Lunar in the series.
But yeah, definitely so. We saw Rapid Fire pop off last 2 weeks ago, I believe. We get to see Gosha pop off this time, assert his dominance in a series. This is only game 1. We have got game 2 ready for you guys in just a little bit here. They're gonna have to see if 0-10 are able to come back, because there's still another game and another potentially 2 games to be played here, dear.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it is still up in the air because we can have what was a very strong showing from 0-10 come to fruition in game 2. We're going to pop into the lobby for that one and set this one up so that we can continue along this 3-game series, and we'll be right back after a short break.